Sometimes I enjoy researching lore in fictional worlds I am completely in love with. Sometimes you guys want to sit back and chill out to somebody explaining these worlds and their lore. It's been a very long time since I've fell so deeply in love with a game for its lore, with the last one being Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. The game before that was Bloodborne, and maybe you are starting to notice a pattern, a very predictable pattern that, funny enough, ends there really. I have never found myself deep into the lore of the Souls trilogy, but I hope to change that in the future, like this here game, Elden Ring. It sometimes comes off as a daunting experience that I find myself overwhelmed at the thought by, but when it comes to the lore of the Souls trilogy, I'm sure once I start, it'll be okay. I wanted to put a heavier emphasis on what I found to be the most important part of a video like this, and how I envisioned it as the person creating it, and so I decided that the research, script, and voicing of it are the most important. While I think visual representation in videos is just as important, for the little time I have on the side and for how much explanation I want to give in these videos, depending on the amount of information we actually have on the topic, the audio will take importance over visuals, and I hope that's okay. As you will notice, the background will have visuals, be it through images or gameplay, and I will do my best to make it as smooth and chill as I can, so don't worry, no floating backgrounds. I decided to begin this series of videos that I plan on publishing with a character that is essential to our journey, within a game that is essential for an RPG lover to play. That video game, if you haven't already guessed by the obvious title, is Elden Ring. I have only finished this game once, but I have found myself reading the lore of the world and the characters more than I probably should be. Every single character within the fictional world of the Lands Between has been crafted in a very specific way, with their own themes and messages to show. There are enough characters in this game that you could make a couple of hundred videos and still not be done going over them all. Even the roaming enemies have lore significant to the world. Everything just feels like it has some form of a purpose to be there. Today's focus will be on our companion throughout our journey, our friend until the end, our maiden, Melina. Melina has become a fan favorite amongst the Elden Ring community, and I thought to myself, who better a character to start with than the maiden who helps us stop being maidenless, thus helping us drop our uncool meter and helping raise up our cool meter. We have a good bit to talk about when it comes to Melina, and I am warning all of you now, there will be spoilers for Elden Ring. Spoilers that also include the ending of the game, so if you are still in the middle of your 400-hour journey, click off this video now and be on your way. However, if you would like to learn as much as there is to know about Melina, then stay and listen. The video will be set up into chapters with timestamps included in the description below. With all that said, let's start this series off with an extraordinarily interesting character. The Lands Between is full of tarnished, roaming warriors with no purpose who were once banished from the lands themselves. You are a tarnished, and upon leaving the comfort of the caves you wake up in, you will engage in a conversation with a white masked figure known as Vara. While Vara has a ton of interesting dialogue and his own quest to participate in, the important thing to note is his mention of us being maidenless. So let's start off with a simple question. What is a maiden? So to keep it as relevant and as simple as possible, we need to bring up the Two Fingers. The Two Fingers is a religious leader and devotee of the Golden Order. When you encounter the crone Enya at the Round Table Hold, she is able to communicate with the Two Fingers and speak for it. The big set of two fingers that sits eerily in that one room you probably remember that you can unlock after defeating your first demigod. Finger Maidens are females who are chosen by the Two Fingers to group up with a Tarnished who is looking to claim the Elden Ring for themselves. Tarnished, just to give you all a reminder, are individuals who have lost the grace between themselves and the Erd Tree and were then banished from the Lands Between by Queen Marika. Sometime after the Shattering, an event where the Elden Ring was broken into several fragments, the Tarnished were beckoned to return to the Lands Between by the Lost Grace. You are one of these Tarnished and are fortunate enough to be one of the select few to be granted a maiden, who then has the ability to read your fingers, if I'm not mistaken, and convert collected runes into a strength that can help lead you towards successfully becoming the Elden Lord. What is so incredible to think about when you realize it is that there hasn't been a single new Elden Lord since the Shattering happened. So the finger maiden we are given on our quest is Melina, a very mysterious spectral lady who offers us an alliance when we get to a certain point in the game near the beginning. Throughout our adventure with Melina, we don't discover a whole lot about her past, and as we progress, it almost feels like we are finding out less about her than we are more, with every bit of information gained about her being followed up by us, the Tarnished, having several more questions added. We could discover more about her in the future with a DLC or something like that, but only time will tell us of that. Most Tarnished will have their first encounter with Melina at the Site of Grace just in front of the gatehouse, where she will offer assistance in return for the Tarnished to bring her to the foot of the Erd Tree. Once accepted, she will give you the spectral steed whistle, and thus you will be given your best friend for the future of the entire game, Torrent. He's the best boy. Over the course of your journey, you will be given opportunities, sometimes to speak to Melina, with her offering some insight into the Tarnished's current situation or on the characters you come across. She will mostly appear at Church of Maricas, and she almost always has something interesting to say about the lore. The first of a couple of extremely notable moments with Melina will be in her offering to bring you to the Round Table Hold. After this, the next time will be upon your arrival to the royal capital, Leyndell. Melina will thank you for escorting her to the Erd Tree, and then she will leave. The funny thing is though, she can be summoned for the fight you have against Morgoth, the Omen King. During this fight, she brandishes her weapon, the Blade of Calling. The description on this weapon reads as follows: dagger given to one who set out on a journey to fulfill her duty long ago. The power of its former owner, the Kindling Maiden, is still apparent. The one who walks alongside flame shall one day meet the road of Destined Death. We know Melina is on a quest to fulfill something and has had this quest a very long time. Kindling Maiden to be a relative to Melina, a mother or some form of similar guardian. The line on Destined Death is interesting as it is connected to one of the endings in the game, but we will go over that in a bit. So after defeating Morgoth, Melina will once again show up and join the Tarnished for a brand new journey, and this time it's to head onwards and upwards to the mountaintops of the Giants to burn the Erd Tree. When you defeat the Fire Giant, who is one of my favourite bosses in the game, and rest at the graced point atop the Giant Forge, you will be prompted with the choice to commit a cardinal sin. The cardinal sin being to burn the Erd Tree. Well, not you per se, but Melina is the one who will commit the sin, as you will see in a very cool cutscene where she lifts her hand into the air and sets this colossal tree ablaze. After setting fire, she will take the hand of the Tarnished and sacrifice herself to the flame of ruin. The Tarnished player will fall into a deep sleep put by her, almost as if drugged, and then wake up in the crumbling Farum Azula, a place holding ridiculous amounts of mystery. If the player is to follow through with one of the endings, specifically the Destined Death ending, then Melina may leave your side, but regardless, her goal is to commit the cardinal sin of setting the Erd Tree ablaze. Whether she completes this quest herself or with the help of you is a whole different story. So to maybe understand a bit more about why Melina doesn't want to help the Tarnished if they side on the path towards the Frenzied Flame, let's delve a little bit into the Outer Gods. So the Outer Gods are celestial entities that we only ever really hear of but not see. Each of the gods have their own goals and usually progress them by connecting with certain people and demigods who exist in the lands between. So the Frenzied Flame specifically is the Outer God of Chaos, a god that possesses an unquenchable hatred of order and seeks to achieve nothing but the destruction of the lands between so it can return to being a location of chaos without any sort of order. It seeks a champion to burn the Erd Tree to help with this goal. Just as a side note, the Three Fingers are the corporeal agents of the Frenzied Flame. Through the Three Fingers we learn about the goals of the Frenzied Flame and understand what the god wants. Melina obviously doesn't want the world destroyed, so of course she's going to tell you to go away. She's a good girl and you are a bad boy or girl, so what do you expect? If you complete the game with the Frenzied Flame ending, then within the cutscene at the end you will see Melina looking a bit different and promise to deliver Destined Death upon you, meaning she's gonna slaughter us. So that is, to the best of my abilities, as much as I could scrape on Melina in a basic analysis. She's an incredibly interesting character and you will find almost all of the under 21s community of male players simping for her. She's got a badass design, she's one of the only people who doesn't want to kill us, and that's always a plus to have when adventuring in a terrifying fantasy world created by George R.R. Martin. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. It's been a long time since I've made some form of analysis video, especially a lore video, and especially on a different game. Elden Ring is full of some some of the most creative and interesting lore I've ever had the honor to read, and I love every single second of it. I'll be sure to make more of these in the future, and please do remember to let me know in the comments below what your thoughts in this video were. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.